And so that's why Juneteenth was celebrated nationwide long before it became a federal holiday. Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your weekend and enjoying your Juneteenth weekend. Look, while we're here and I got your attention, I just want to share a couple of things with you that may help to educate some of us, maybe teach us something we didn't know, and then to help clear up some disparities too, because there are some people out here who are just saying some crazy stuff about Juneteenth. Some of it coming from a place of being uninformed, some maybe just from a place of hatred. So let's talk about the word Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a blend of the word June and 19th, which is the day that General Order Number 3 was read on the shores of Galveston in 1865 by General Granger. So let's rewind 2.5 years before that. The Emancipation Proclamation was already signed by President Abraham Lincoln. But it was just a parchment, just a piece of paper. It meant nothing without being enforced. So the Union armies had to go into the Confederate South and start to enforce that proclamation. And as the Union armies were making their way through the Confederate South, those slave owners were fleeing the South. And where did they go? They went to Texas with their enslaved people. Texas was on the outskirts, if you will, the western outskirts of the Confederate South. So they didn't see a lot of fighting like most of the Deep South did. So it was seen as a kind of a safe haven for slave owners. So after they took care of business in the Confederate South, the Union continued over into Texas. And that's where they read the Declaration 2.5 years later and declared all enslaved people free. It also marked the surrender of General Robert E. Lee. So as you can imagine, there were huge celebrations for people to learn all of a sudden that we are free. And not only are we free, but the means for enforcement is there. So a year later, these freed people now started celebrations. They wanted to commemorate their freedom, the end of slavery. And they were initially called emancipation celebrations, okay? As the Union Army started to withdraw after the war, Jim Crow started to rear its ugly head. And so there were these different laws that were formed in order to make life hard for Black people in this country. For one, to celebrate Juneteenth or Emancipation Day was seen as an act of defiance. And they would put laws in place like making it illegal for Black people to gather in public parks. So what happened? An illuminary named Jack Yates, salute to all my family out there who went to Jack Yates High School here in Houston. He organized a bunch of other people who were like-minded and raised $400, which was a nominal sum of money back then, and purchased land, which is known today as Emancipation Park. Been there many times. And for the longest time, I didn't know that Emancipation Park was a part of the history that we're talking about right now. So fast forward, it finally becomes a law in the state of Texas. And I'm fast forwarding again, 2021, it becomes a federal holiday signed unanimously. It was a bipartisan bill, makes it to the desk of President Joe Biden. He signs it, announces a federal holiday. I will go back and say this, because although this was a Texas holiday, with the migration of people leaving the South and going out to the West and up north for jobs, those formerly enslaved people took their traditions with them. And so that's why Juneteenth was celebrated nationwide long before it became a federal holiday. So that was just One more thing I thought I'd throw in there, because even I didn't know that until I started looking into it, because I'd always known this as a Texas holiday, and I wondered why when I started traveling more that other people were celebrating Juneteenth, but that's why. But no, folks, this is a bona fide real holiday. It really, really happened. So for those of you who are trying to claim or disparage this holiday, shame on you. And I encourage you to get on the right side of history. You all take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you later. I'm going to go ahead and push the button.